Hello, dear viewers. Support me by subscribing to my channel and share my video if you like it. And also, make sure you comment your thoughts. Before we start the video, I would like to announce that this story will be uploaded and completed on another channel. I will share the link in the pinned comment. If you like this story, then go and check it out on the other channel. That channel is not owned by me, but it's a sort of collaboration. You can say, thank you for your time. Now let's start the video. So I died, and the first thing that I see is an old man standing in front of me. I am sorry, but I have to say that you are dead, the old sighed. My death was gruesome. I was eaten by a shark. Well, partly. Apparently sharks don't like humans. Too many bones. So after he took my leg, he left bleeding out. So yeah, I hate sharks. I imagined as much. I chuckled dryly as I inspected the room I was in. We were, for some reason, under the ocean. The water stretched out as far as the eye could see, perhaps symbolizing how I died. Amidst all the water, there was a living where we sat together on a European sofa. At least I think so. The old man I suspected to be God had a minibar with chocolates and drinks. Nothing with alcohol, which is what I needed right now. It kind of felt like a doctor's waiting room. The room wasn't wet, thanks to his godly powers, I imagine. But in the end, it was all very classic, if nothing else. So do you greet everyone that dies? I inquired, filled with curiosity. God stared at me for a second. Before answering, no saints, normally I decided to greet you because it's my fault you died. Sorry. Okay, I gotta ask, how was your fault, thought? I was dead, and he was God. Being angry wasn't gonna bring my life back, but I am quite curious how an almighty being messes up. Well, I might have accidentally dropped a shark close to you. And I might have noticed it a tad late. God offered, clearly embarrassed. How the fuck you accidentally dropped? No, I'll be the better person and don't ask. Okay, that explains nothing. But anyways, what now? Normally, you would go to heaven or get your soul recycled, but after this blunder, I must repay you, God said with conviction. I suppose getting my ass back to live is out of the question. I mean, you would have offered. I sighed. Yes, once a soul leaves the mortal realm in this realm, said soul can't re-enter. I made the rules, I can't bend them, but I can send you to another world, God added in the end with a smile. What world, though? If it was a bad world, I think I would rather enjoy eternal bliss, or boredom in heaven. What world? I think is commonly known in your realm as Westeros or Game of Thrones, God added excitedly. Oh yes, the book series that taught me to never get attached to a character ever again. I remembered when Ned Stark died, I wanted to kill Joffrey myself. Would you look at that? I can do that now. While I find the idea really, and I mean really interesting, I would die in a matter of hours. I work in IT, my skill set is useless there, I informed him. I know that's why you will enter the Wheel of Fortune. You will get 3 random powers. Isn't that great? I mean, you can technically get something useless, like the power to control a cup of water. But you can also get the really good stuff, God chuckled. The prospect of getting 3 powers was quite exciting, and could very well prove to make my new life in Westeros easier. Alright, let's see what I get, I nodded. God smiled and complied, making a Wheel of Fortune appear in front of me. Roll! Nodding, I took the wheel and spun the shit out of it. I couldn't really see what was going on. The wheel was going fast, and I didn't understand the language written over it, so it was extra stressful for me. The wheel eventually stopped, on something I couldn't read, so I gave God a look that said, please translate. Oh, sorry. I haven't updated the language on that thing since the dawn of humanity. Never got to use it. Let's see, your first power is having Captain America's power, aka the super soldier serum, God said. The super soldier body, that one alone made my life easier in that world. So, without further delay, I spun the wheel again, wondering what I would get this time. Once again, the wheel stopped and God translated, smiling widely at this one. You got a power inspired in me. Gandalf, also known as the left hand of God. I knew this power. It was from an old anime. I saw, if I remember correctly, the primary power of a Gandalf is absolute mastery of any item meant for combat. From swords and pistols to artillery cannons and fighter aircraft. Not that some of those weapons are going to be available for me. Awesome, super bod and a master of arms, great, I smiled. Destiny was definitely smiling at me. I spun the wheel again, wondering what would be my last power. When the wheel decided to stop, God started to laugh as he translated, "You got the right hand of God, Vindalfur. I got both the right and left hand of God, my last power." Vindalfur, or the right hand of God, has the special ability to control animals, be it a dog or a dragon. My bond with them would surpass anything. "I guess that's all?" I smiled. I was quite happy with the luck I had on those spins. It could have been worse, but I got some nice powers. "Yes, it is. Now enjoy being a baby again." God chuckled. And before I could ask or say something, the world around me faded. During that brief moment, all I could think of was, fuck. Gear 28. Pain, crushing and excruciating pain. That's what welcomed me after my talk with God. I felt I was in a wet and tight cave that wanted to crush me. Oh God, this is my birth, isn't it? If I could scream, I would. But unfortunately, my vocal cords didn't obey me. "Push, my lady, I can see the head," a woman said, encouraging my new mother to push the heck out of me. If I could encourage her, I would. This is bad for both of us, obviously, worse for her. But still. "One more push," the woman said, and a second after I was in the outside world, I was so happy to be out. I felt like I was about to die. "Let me see my son," my mother said weakly. Her tone was crossing a line that told me she was gonna die. "My sweet little lord, you will be known as Ronard Mormont." After that silence followed, she stopped breathing. She had lived just long enough to give me a name. Or not only I was reincarnated in a secondary house, but I was also reincarnated in times of war. I didn't even have time to process that my new mother died seconds after giving birth to me. I can see the worry on everyone's faces. They are worried about who's going to win this war. I made my calculations based on what I know. Timeline-wise, it took me some time, but I think I know. It's not like I can do much besides crapping myself. Robb Stark, Jon Snow, and I should be around the same age, which means that the war is already ending. If I'm older than them, it would be by a few months at best. Which also lead to my next deduction. My father was Jorah Mormont. In the books, his first wife died after giving birth 3 times to stillborn babies. I was the change on that. She still died, but I came to this world. In a few years, he would meet a really young girl for him, and he would fuck his life over when I didn't know. Being a baby with no coordinated control over my body limits my activities to this, deducing stuff. 5 months later, being a baby is excruciatingly painful. I can't do shit. Scratch that. All I can do is shit. I have a super body, but I'm limited to what my underdeveloped body allows me to do. I never thought how hard and difficult the scenario was. Anyway, after 5 months, I finally met my father. He was just like the TV show, but taller and with dark hair, brown, like a grizzly. Fitting. He was caring, I suppose. He was happy that he had a son, but nothing beyond that. My grandfather, aka Jorah Mormont, he apparently had gone to the wall way before I was born, which meant I wasn't going to meet him anytime soon. 1 year later, I can finally walk and talk, and anyone can bet their asses. I potty trained myself as soon as my balls allowed me to. I finally recovered some of my human decency. I also discovered that the tattoos that should be on my hands, well, weren't, but I knew I had the power. In other matters, I discovered a few things first. House Mormont is pretty poor, which was something I intended to change as soon as I could. I had many ideas already. I remembered many stuff from my world, like how to make mirrors. Good mirrors, not like those craps they have around here. No wonder some think they look good. I also remembered, thanks to my dad, my other universe dad, how to make vodka, whiskey, and rum. The alcoholic beverages alone would make my ass so rich. But for now, I had to bid my time. I was learning how to do everything I knew before. Physically speaking, again, my body even as a baby was more durable and could do stuff no baby could. 5 years later, year 28, I had forgotten entirely about the Greyjoy Rebellion. Father went back to war. But I wasn't concerned with this situation. I know we will win. On other matters, I'm 6 and I started practicing with the sword a year ago, and everyone thinks I'm a genius. I can't beat adults yet, but they have a hard time winning. After the war, my father married another woman. She's young enough to be my sister, and she's quite the spoiled brat. She's 16. My father is almost twice her age. The moment he arrived from the south with her, I knew she was the one that would ruin him. I tried to bring this up to him. She wastes money like a fucking queen, but instead of listening, he slapped me, his 6-year-old son. That was the moment I lost all empathy for him. I didn't cry or show signs that it hurt because it didn't. I just simply stood and left. The little bitch also lives whispering that once she gets with a child, I won't be needed in this household anymore. Fucking bitch. If J.K. Rowling made a novel out of her, it would be named Harry Potter and the Audacity of This Bitch. 4 years later, year 20, I was 10 years old. I was officially unbeatable with any weapon. I was the best in any category. The Master of Arms was shocked to see how good I was, saying this level of skill was ridiculous for a kid. I feel like I'm cheating, which is good. I like cheating makes things easier. Only when it's necessary, though, like avoiding certain death. My father had already started to dwell in some dark shit, slaves and stuff to pay his debts, the debt he acquired, pleasing the bitch. House Mormont was in bankruptcy, thanks to the gold digger my father married. It didn't take long before Lord Stark, aka Ned Stark, discovered what my imbecile of a father was doing. My father was sentenced to death. Like in the canon, he escaped before Ned Stark arrived to cut his head off. I knew this was the last time I would see him, and yet I felt nothing. I cared for him once, but after he started to mistreat me to please that bitch, well, I lost that feeling. The one good thing that came out of this was that I inherited Longclaw, and that I was the Lord of House Mormont now. Are you alright, little cub? Megan Mormont, also known as the current she-bear, asked. She was my aunt. I told them that woman was only going to bring problems. I sighed as I took a long look at my new sword. Aye, we all did, my lord, Meg smiled sadly, but I knew deep down she was furious. Her brother, my father, had fucked out honor with his sins, and we would carry with it forever. Let me know when Lord Stark arrives, I said. Letting her know I wanted to be alone. I wasn't sad, but I wasn't happy. Lord Stark arrived a few days later, going immediately to my office to greet me. Lord Mormont, Ned Stark greeted. Lord Stark, I said with a small bow as I offered him a seat. Do you know where your father went? Ned Stark went directly to the point. I looked at him for a second before I answered. All I know is that he left me this mess to fix. Sorry for the language. Ned Stark nodded, understanding what I meant. So what now, Lord Stark? I inquired. Your father will be stripped of everything. He is an enemy of the North now, Lord Stark said in a cold tone. What about me? I inquired, hoping this wasn't one of those father's sins that the son has to pay. You will have to lead. Being so young, Lord Stark chuckled. I think that's punishment enough, but not that you deserve any punishment. You are more friendly than I imagined, I smiled. Too bad we met under these circumstances. Aye, but that doesn't mean our friendship can't grow. Ned Stark nodded. Aye, I nodded. Now that I was the Lord of House Mormont, I had to fix our economic problem. I would make House Mormont one of the wealthiest houses in Westeros before the game and war started. Then saw our power. We need more than that, so with the help of Meg, I started to recruit people. From orphans to anyone that wanted to learn how to use a sword. I put May J in charge of that while I expanded our forces differently. A year ago, I started to collect bears. I had over 100 bears under my command. People just assumed it was because I had a deep connection with our sigil. Little did they know I could control animals in general. But it wasn't mind control, it was more the animals loved me, like a lot. But having bears to fight wasn't enough. I commissioned a set of armor and steel claws for each and every single one of them. I would have a small battalion of armored bears, and in the sea, I would have the Krakens to stop the Ironborn. I was preparing beforehand to win the upcoming war. 1 year later, I was 14 and I was already over 6 foot tall. I had the same physique Captain America had, and I was officially unmatched in any type of combat. I was stronger than the Mountain, faster than Oberyn, and better with the sword than Arthur Dayne. My fame as a warrior expanded through the 7 kingdoms, as the prideful bear on the north. Not only I had a fame for being a genius businessman, but I also had one for being a fearsome warrior. My spies, aka animals, informed that Tywin was furious with me. He couldn't allow a house in the north to change the economic balance that has been there for so long. He hasn't planned to kill me yet, but my little birds, and I mean literal little birds is not a metaphor. Anyway, my little birds have told me how he is close to that point. Boy, he was gonna suffer. Not even a faceless man can approach me and try to kill me. I have hundreds of animals watching, seeing every person in my castle constantly. If they see even the slightest change in their behavior, I would know it. Our army has increased considerably. Not as much as I would have liked, but it was way better than I expected. We went from 200 soldiers to 4,000. Many commoners wanted this opportunity. The pay was good compared to most other jobs, and they would get some respect. My bear division had grown a little over 300 armored bears, and I had increased the amount of krakens protecting our sea from 12 to 24. The Greyjoys would suffer a lot when they started their second rebellion. On a military point, I was good, not as good as I wanted to be, but good. I had increased my house gold income to 400,000 gold dragons a year, after taxes. House Mormont had never been better, my lord, a servant said, bowing. What is it? I inquired. I usually don't get people interrupting my training sessions unless it is important. A raven from House Stark, the servant said, handing me the unopened letter. Thanks, I said, taking the letter. The Starks had invited me to their house. They wanted to discuss some stuff with me. That and Lord Stark wanted to present me his son and future heir, Robb Stark. Get a ship ready and tell Lady Madge to come to my office, I ordered the servant, who ran as soon as I gave my orders. The Starks wanted something, but what? I suppose I would find out in their home. As I sat down to wait for my aunt, I couldn't help but feel pride in what I did. I had ships, I had money, I had changed our house. I even upgraded the old wooden castle we had to a fortress. It was still in progress, but it was getting there. You called, my lord? Meg said, entering the room. Yes, I wanted to let you know I'll be gone for a while, so you are responsible while I'm away. I nodded. I will do my best, Maggie nodded. I knew I could trust on them in my family in general. Ned Stark, POV. In 4 years, the kid had turned one of the poorest houses in the north to the wealthiest one. He had solved every problem House Mormont had. In turn, we were booming with this. The North was getting a lot of money in taxes with them alone. They were around 50% of our income in taxes. But not only that, the young lord had amassed a fame for being not only the best warrior of his generation, but a kind and honorable one. He had yet to fight to survive, but the Mormonts never bragged about something. If it wasn't true, I had learned that when I lost a drinking competition with Meiji, the she-bear. Ned, I don't think this is a good idea, Kat said. She was unsure of my idea. His father was a dishonorable man, and just recently his house climbed the ranks. Kat, I meet the lad, he's good, and this way we'll solidify our alliance even stronger, I said, but I understood why she was so uncertain, but it mattered not. This was the right choice. At least my Sansa will be close to home, Kat sighed. We had discussed this for over a month. She didn't dislike the young lord, she thought our daughter could do way better. That she was fit to be a queen, and she was, but I didn't want my daughter in a lion's den. If I had a better option in the north, her home. Aye, I said, kissing her forehead. There is POV. Since the young lord of House Mormont took over, I had lost all my spies inside his house. All my little birds had gone silent, but I wasn't the only one. The Lannisters and the Tyrell were in the same position, or so sang my little birds. Lord Ronald Mormont, he was an enigma, and I don't like mysteries. Especially since my little birds sang to me that the Starks wanted to marry their oldest daughter with him. This could be both good or bad to the realm. The king wanted to marry his son to Lady Sansa. That had been something they had discussed over a year. The queen would be happy to know. Lord Varys, any news? Cersei was a dangerous woman that thought herself to be cunning. She was just not as much as she thought. You mean about the young lord of House Mormont? I inquired. I knew she was asking about that. Yes, Cersei nodded. Not much, my little birds don't sing as much as they once did in the Bear Island, I admitted. All I know, he is soon about to be betrothed to the oldest daughter of Lord Stark. Cersei smiled at this, which only reinforced my idea of her. She wasn't as smart as she thought she was. Tywin wanted to marry Marcella to the young lord to unite the new rich lord to the crown, but Cersei was against the idea, saying no child of her would marry those savages in the north, no matter how rich they were. Tywin, of course, didn't care what she thought and planned to convince the King of the Soon. But it was too late. The most honorable man in the Seven Kingdoms had won this play, without even knowing he was playing. Good, those savages should marry each other. Cersei smiled. I smiled as I left the room. It's quite ironic, really. The woman sleeping with her brother thinks of the North as savages just for their culture. What a funny thing. Back to Ronard. I was getting ready to go to winter, Longclaw on my back. The shield I had commissioned for me to be made. It wasn't vibranium, but I don't have dealers around. Aside from the joke, my shield was made entirely out of steel, a bit bigger than the one Captain America had, with a bear engraved on the shield. We are ready, my lord, the captain of the ship said, as I nodded to give him permission to sail. As the ship slowly started to move, I sat to eat while I wondered what could possibly be the reason for my summoning. Vodka, I ordered the waiter inside the ship. or should I say the wine boy, or vodka boy. I suppose as I thought earlier, there is no point of wondering, I just have to wait. My little birds are not as present in the north as I would like them to be, mostly because I have the majority of them in possible threats, like the Boltons, the Lannisters, the Tyrells, and of course the Freys. I had all my spy network with them of all the houses, including the small one. The Starks were the less likely to pull one on me. So whatever it was will be beneficial for them and me. Tywin POV. Small house was rising the ladder quite fast as of now. House Mormont was the 4th wealthiest house in Westeros. It took 4 years for that brat to accomplish that. He was close to surpassing the Baratheons, economically speaking, and put himself in the 3rd place. The pace he was growing was alarming. I needed to get him on a leash, and Myrcella would serve as his leash to House Lannister. Not only was he rich, but smart, as he had proved by eliminating my spies, every single one of them. I arrived at Winterfell a few days after I got the crow. I had brought gifts with me, a couple of dresses and some jewelry I had bought beforehand in the south for Sansa's birthday that was coming up soon, and I had to send something. But I decided to bring them in for this occasion. I would buy something for her birthday later. For Lord Stark, I brought 1 month's worth of fish and vodka. For Lady Stark, silk. For Rob John Bran, I brought weapons, the best a blacksmith could make. And for Arya, well, this one was hard. I knew she was a fighter, but coming with a weapon to her would put me under some bad spotlight. So I opted to get her something that she would like. Candy, lots of candy for her and her little baby brother Rickon.
Welcome to Winterfell, Lord Mormont. Lord Stark greeted me as I got off my horse.
Thanks for the invitation, Lord Stark, I smiled as I bowed slightly. Behind him were his kids, Robb, Arya, Bran, his ward Theon, but the one that caught my adolescent's hormone-fueled eye was Sansa. I never had the pleasure of seeing her before. This was my first time seeing her, and she was beautiful. Sansa Stark was beautiful, taking after her mother's family with her high cheekbones and hypnotizing vivid blue eyes. She had a thick auburn hair. With only 11 years old, I stare in awe, not expecting her to be this beautiful. She has grown up to be incredibly hot. Her figure is tall, graceful, and womanly. Oh God, I like a girl. This is so wrong. I have to stop my thinking and look back at Lord Stark. I can't let myself fall for a child. While it's true, I'm in another world. I can't forget how wrong it feels. Then again, we are both teens, but I have nothing to worry about. It's not as if I could get her. Sansa POV. Mother and father had instructed me that I would meet my possible future betrothed, Lord Mormont. I didn't like this at all. He wasn't the prince I wanted, my knight in shining armor. Holy old gods, Jane said, looking to the gates. He is hot. Jane, stop. I stopped. She was right. He was tall, muscular, handsome. He was nothing to what I expected. After my father greeted him, he stared at me for a full long minute. His piercing and beautiful silver eyes, I felt he was undressing me with his eyes.
It felt good. Why did it felt good?
Factor honored. After Lord Stark introduced me to all his children, he guided me to his office, where I would talk with him and his lady wife. I still had in my mind the little she-wolf, but I was safe. I want to propose a betrothal between you and my oldest daughter, Lord Stark said, breaking my calculative exterior. In this moment, my mind was starting to reset, Ronner.exe not found, and I probably must have shown my surprise because Lady Stark offered me a drink. Here you go, some water, Lady Stark said with a soft tone. Why, I inquired. This made no sense. My father was a trader. My house was small. Yes, I made my house rich, and is growing. But people here see more the history than the current state of a house. And by history, House Mormont was not good enough. You are a good lad, honorable and with a good head on your shoulders, Lord Stark said with a smile. I want my daughter to be safe, happy, and close to home. And I can't think of a better husband to do that than you. Oh God, this was, managing a business easy, improving my house super easy, but this was unexpected. I don't know what to say. I gotta be honest, Lady Sansa is beautiful, but I'm just some lord of a small house, I admitted. Then perhaps you are someone worthy enough? Lady Stark smiled. You are, of course, free to reject, Lord Stark added. Taking a full sip of my water, I started to analyze the situation. With me, she would be safe. Out of the war, the Bolton bastard would not rape her, and she would be close to her family and would see them more often. I accept. It's an honor that you considered me worthy enough, I smiled. No man in the world is worthy enough for my little wolf, but you are the closest one to be worthy, Lord Stark smiled. Don't ever forget that, Lady Stark added. That woman can be downright terrifying. The look she gave me, send a message inside my brain, hurt my little girl, and I will break your balls. I smiled. Good parents in this world were rare, I would know. After that, we went over the details on my betrothal, business deals with Winterfell and stuff. I would have to marry Sansa after her first period, or how people called it, when she finally flowered, which brought a totally new sense to the word deflowered. I was still incredibly uncomfortable with the idea of marrying someone under 18, but it was common for women to marry between the ages of 12 and 16 in Westeros. But like Tyrion, I would not lay on her bed until she wanted me to. I may have to follow this world and the rules, but I won't become a monster, yeah. After coming to an agreement and improving with the Starks our commerce routes, I went to get ready for the party that was an honor to announce my betrothal with Lady Sansa. They had planned the party beforehand. They knew I wouldn't reject because, in theory alone, Lady Sansa is the best possible lady in the North. The future Lady Mormont. I can already see my aunt, or should I say great aunt is confusing, exploding with happiness. Everyone in house, Mormont basically worships the Starks. We are the most loyal house to the Starks in all this world. So I can only imagine that my betrothal will make them explode with happiness and pride in me. The Boltons would probably disagree, but if they tried something, I would enjoy destroying them. Especially Ramsay Snow, there were 3 things that I hated, and I would never forgive. Those who enjoy giving suffering to others, those who rape, and those with no loyalty. He had 3 gold medals so far. The party was somewhat like all medieval parties. Food, music, and wine. Maybe humanity hasn't evolved that much. So while the music was playing, I went and decided to dance with my future wife. The thought of it was weird. I would have to marry. I didn't marry in my old life. I died quite young, and thanks to God, erasing part of my memory, I didn't remember much of it. But I knew for sure I didn't have a wife, and soon I would have to marry. Lady Sansa, she was beautiful, but beauty alone didn't make a marriage last. I can only hope she and I will have something in common. It would be great if she could engage me, not only physically, but intellectually. A dance, my lady, I said, offering my hand. Yes, my lord, Sansa nodded as she gracefully took my hand. Once we were in the dance floor, I asked close to her ear, making her blush a bit. That was good. She found me attractive, at least. I heard we were to be married, my lady. Sansa took a deep breath, trying to calm and tame her blush. I heard as well, I will strive to be a good wife, my lord. I chuckled as I whispered her once again, I know we barely know each other, and there can't be love yet, but I will try to win your heart if you let me. Sansa was at this point so red that her hair looked white in comparison. Before I could add something else, Rob approached me asking for a dance with his sister. So I decided to dance with Arya as I smiled at the little girl stepping on my feet to dance. We weren't dancing, it was more of a game, that because Arya found the dance boring, so I wanted her to enjoy. You danced splendidly, Lady Arya, I chuckled. You're funny, I like it, Arya smiled as I spun her around. After the party ended, I decided to hang out more with Sansa. She was going to leave with me to Bear Island, part of our agreement. I had forgotten in these lands, the lady goes to the man, is quite common it seems. I have no idea how long does it take, a woman generally, to get her first period, because diets, genetics, and stuff come into play. But if I had to take a rough estimation, I would say we have a year or so before it happens. So with that in my mind, I decided to date her for that time, take her out, dinner stuff, show her that there is more than being a lady, maybe even teach her how to use a bow or how to fight. Not that she will need it if we end up marrying. I won't let anyone touch her. I'll get close to her with intentions of harming her. We leave in a week, my lady, I said, approaching her and offering a hand. I thought you might want to show me around. Sansa smiled as she took my hand while her friend Jane giggled behind her. It would be my honor. Sansa started to guide, showing me what she thought was the best in Winterfell, the gardens, towers. Do you have gardens in Bear Island? Sansa inquired. Yay, but I suppose that can change. I winked at her. Sansa giggled. Well, then I will start looking where I can have a garden once we get to Bear Island. Whatever you want, my lady, I chuckled. I heard all Mormont women fight, Sansa said as she added. Is that true? I nodded, but before she got the wrong idea, I added, fighting can be elegant too. You know? Sansa eyed me for a second before asking how. I get that some people don't want to kill or go to war. It's an understandable feeling. But like, breathing, we need to know how to defend ourselves, I said. And there are many ways to do so. You can fight like a barbarian or dance around the battlefield. Dance around the battlefield. Sansa chuckled. That almost sounds poetic. The water dancers of Braavos are known for this. They fight elegantly, but with precision. I smiled. I don't know, Arya likes that. I find it unladylike, Sansa said. You're a lady! If you stab a bunny, it makes it ladylike. Don't let others tell you what is or what is not ladylike. I chuckled. But Septa... Sansa tried to argue, but I stopped her. The lady that will never get married and has never had a man. I joked. Don't be mean. Sansa laughed. So, how about a picnic? I offered changing the subject. But we have no food. Sansa tilted her head. I smiled and pointed at a horse that I had preciously sent to follow us from the shadows, with the picnic on his saddle. You said, my lady? I smiled as I approached the horse. How did you, Sansa? Tried to ask. Sorry, my lady. Can't reveal my secrets. Is about 8% of my charm. What would I have left if you knew how I did stuff? I chuckled. One day, I will know, Sansa added. That day, you will be already head over heels for me, I whispered on her ear, making her blush. After our first official date, I can say that she's not a bad girl, just has bad ideas on her head that are the result of years of brainwashing from her mother and her teacher. I can see she doesn't want to fight or learn how to because she thinks it is unladylike. She never said she hates it. She just doesn't think a lady should do it. But I will show her a lady can do whatever she pleases and still be a lady. Fuck the Septa. During my week, prior to leaving, I made sure to talk and put some wisdom into her head while making sure we both enjoyed our dates. The first one was a picnic. The second one, I made up a treasure hunt, like the ones I used to do back on my past life with clues, steps, and riddles. The prize arose. The third one, I showed her how to have fun. We had a snowball fight. The winner would get a kiss. Even losing, I was winning. Safe to say, I got my kiss. The fourth date, we assaulted the kitchen. She was beyond reluctant to do it. Still, with the right words, I managed to convince her and made a pie-making competition. I have no idea how to bake a pie. She won by a lot on this one. By the end of the date, I was fully covered in flour, but so was she. After losing so much, I started a flour fight with her. I ended up getting a small peck on the lips again this time. We had 4 awesome dates so far. Ned Stark POV. Lord Mormont started to court my daughter almost immediately. I could see he was trying to win her favor and affections, and my daughter was enjoying it. At first, they started with a picnic, but soon things began to escalate. Treasure hunts, snowball fights, and they even assaulted my kitchen. Did you saw Sansa? She looked like a ghost. Haha. Arya laughed. I did, I nodded. Sansa was opening to him, quite fast, I might add. I made a good decision. He's putting the effort to make this work, and sometimes that's all it takes to make a relationship work. He was a good lad. I knew that since the day I saw him. He reinforced that when he brought gifts to all my children, including Jon. He will be a good husband. I'm glad he accepted. Ramsay Snow POV. Lord Mormont had been betrothed to Sansa Stark. Father didn't care, even though this went against his plans. But I cared. She was supposed to be mine, because soon I would be a Bolton. But it doesn't matter. The Stark bitch would be mine, regardless. Accidents happen to the best of us. It will be so sad when a pack of dogs eats the young lord. So sad. And after that, I would be there to take the bitch and make her scream. Boys, we will have a special type of food soon. I hope you guys like bear. I laughed as my dogs howled. Jorah Mormont POV. It has been 4 years since I left. I lost everything because of that woman. My house, my honor, my son. Varys promised me to get the king to give me a royal pardon if I kept an eye on the Targaryens. I don't want to be lord for what I hear my son is 100 times the lord I could ever hope to be. But I miss my family. I don't want to die with my son hating me. I will be back, I muttered. Back to Ronard. It was finally the day to leave Winterfell. Sansa got on the carriage. After giving her goodbyes to everyone, I decided to have a chat with Robb. Nothing serious. I just completely forgot about him during my stay. I had to look for Jon that day and give him a goodbye too. He was working on the stables that day. After that, I had a talk with Ned Stark, who didn't say it but outright threatened me if I hurt Sansa. He was using the famous scary dad mode. Catelyn did the same, and while I know I can take on both, it still made me shiver. I.e. made out of steel. All right, I nodded as I took my leave with Sansa. As we made our way to the ship to go to Bear Island, I noticed that Sansa doesn't have her wolf. In fact, none of the Stark's children had their wolves, which means I brought Sansa with me before Ned Stark beheaded the deserter, and Jon encountered the dead direwolf with her babies. But knowing the Starks, she would get her direwolf regardless. I couldn't believe Sansa was coming with me. The actress that played her didn't do her any honor. She was way more beautiful. I still couldn't believe she was to be my wife. Not how I expected to get a wife, but I suppose it was to be expected. I'm in a medieval world with a medieval set of rules. Things that I know or like just don't apply. Like Sansa coming with me to get to know me. And her future lands even thought she might want to stay with her family. I could see it in her eyes. She was sad, and I don't blame her. She met me a week ago. She can't feel completely comfortable with me, a complete stranger that is supposed to be her husband. Not only that, but she's leaving her family. You're gonna love the place, I smiled, trying to lighten the mood. Sansa smiled faintly and said, I sure will, my lord. Oh, come on, don't be like that. Think of it as an adventure, I offered as I smiled. And from now on, call me Ron. All my friends do it. In my mind, a cricket chuckled while saying, what friends? Sansa giggled. All right. Ron, I know you're going to miss your family as to be expected, but try to make the best out of it, my lady. I smiled softly at her. Yes, I will miss them, even Arya. Don't you ever tell her, but I suppose I will have fun. And please call me Sansa, or I will call you my lord. Sansa smiled. As you wish, Sansa, I nodded. So what do you plan on showing when we arrive? Sansa asked. I wanted to teach you how to shoot and bowl, I admitted. Why hide my blatantly obvious plan? A bow, but that's... Sansa stammered a bit. Unladylike. Don't pay attention to that. If you don't like it after I show you, then I won't try again. But you can't say you don't like it if you haven't even given it a chance. I chuckled. All right, but only because I know you won't drop the subject. Sansa sighed. Wow, you are getting to know me, I laughed. I have to. Sansa joined the laugh. I am to be your wife. The carriage started to move differently, and until it suddenly stopped, followed by a shout of one of my men, we are under attack. Sansa immediately showed fear. But before her fear escalated, I soothed her. Everything will be all right. I'm your knight in shining armor now. Remember? Sansa smiled softly as I left the carriage. I know I used a cringy line, but sometimes that's what it takes to calm a storm. Outside, I could see that the driver was dead with an arrow on his head. My men were fighting some Northmen. These men were very well equipped and trained. But who in their right mind would try to raid or try to kill a Stark? The growls in the area gave me the answer. It wasn't someone in their right mind. It was Ramsay Bolton. I had only brought 4 men with me. I initially didn't want to bring any, but everyone in the house insisted I needed some protection. And thanks to that, they were all dead. I will make sure to give something to their families after this. Well, hello, little bear. I heard a sadist voice said, making his men laugh. You are? I feigned ignorance. The one thing Ramsay wanted was recognition, and I wasn't going to give it to him. But in the end, even though 4 of my men died, I can't help but smile at this. Ramsay was on my must-kill list. The psychopath just pushed his death ahead of time, and that of his father. I suppose you can't know me, Ramsay said, trying to hide his anger. He didn't have a chance, and it was worse now that he had his dogs with him. Animal are my subjects. So are you gonna stand there and talk all creepy and stuff, or are you gonna do something? I chuckled. A prideful one, I see. I love breaking your kind. Ramsay cackled. Threaten me with a good time, I chuckled. I'm gonna give you one shoot, so hear me well, because I don't like to repeat myself. Come at me with everything you got. Ramsay stared at me with a smile. I'm gonna enjoy breaking you. Ramsay was at this point excited. Sorry, but I'm not into men, and even if I were psychopaths, would be really low on my list. I laughed. One of Ramsay's men approaches the carriage with the intention of taking Sansa, but it ain't gonna happen. Taking Longclaw of my back, I swing my sword, slashing his head off with ease, making the now headless corpse fall into the ground lifeless. You want to enter the carriage? It will take more than that, I said in a cold tone. One would generally think that killing for the first time would make things harder, but they were scum. I felt no sympathy for their type. They were below animals, below the dirt, and I don't feel anything but disgust for them. Then I will, Ramsay smiled, whistling to his dogs to attack. But none of them moves. Forgot to tell you, but I will be adopting your dogs. I smiled as I ordered the dogs to subdue Ramsay. Ramsay had a shocked expression on his face, wondering how was this happening. The other 11 men he had brought with him shared the same sentiment. With Ramsay on the floor, with his dogs, pinning him and biting him, I turned to the remaining men. I moved forward, kicking the first man on my path on the face with enough force to send him away. Flying against a tree, I felt on my feet his skull crack under my boot. With a smile, I dashed forward, hacking at men, swinging my sword left and right, decapitating each and every one of them, their head go flying in the air, blood splattering everywhere. And now that his men are dead, all I have is Ramsay. Now what was that about breaking me? I chuckled as I cleaned the blood of my sword. You see, I hate people that break their promises. Ramsay smiled. My father will have your head if you kill me. Oh, he is more than welcome to get it, if he proves to be better than me, and frankly he isn't. I laughed. I'm also quite attached to my head, so you see my conundrum. If you let me go, he might show mercy. Ramsay was desperate. Too bad, I don't care, I smiled as I ordered his and now my dogs to take him away and eat him, and after that they would have to regroup with me on the boat.